Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to the Fat Mantis' top 10 list of the best movies of 2022. I know you're thinking that I'm a little late on this bad boy, and I don't think I am. I have been jam-packing every free moment for the last couple of months to watch as many movies as possible so I can create the most educated decision for you. Now, of course, this is subjective, which means it's just, in my opinion, the 10 movies that are going to make you go, wow. And the criteria to hit this list is that you basically have to succeed in what you were planning on doing the movie. You're trying to make a comedy, you better make us laugh. And you better do it better than everyone else. Before I do anything, remember to like, share, subscribe, and do all those wonderful things that I appreciate so much. But let's get straight into it. Number 10, Black Adam. I know a lot of you hate this movie, and that's fair. It has created so much controversy, so much drama, and even the argument about whether it was good or not. Now, in my opinion, what The Rock set out to make was a super heroic smackdown of rival superpowers that are devastating a city. Essentially Fast and Furious with super-powered abilities. That's exactly what we got. As soon as the action started, it never stopped. I was never at any point bored. I know that the plot line was, well, a little simple, but ultimately that was what its goal was. And I have to say, it did the superhero smackdown better than any other movie in 2022. Sorry, Marvel. Number 9. Top Gun Maverick. Now, I am not a huge fan of the original Top Gun. I know playing volleyball with your shirt off and wearing a mustache, wearing aviators, this is all a staple of the 80s. I dig it. Very important part, imagery of the 80s. I wouldn't say movie. I wouldn't even put it in my top 50 80s movies, but it's there. Now there is this movie, and this movie, similar to Black Adam before it, is here to have fun. It is unadulterated fun without politics or shenanigans. It simply gives us a good action story. You know, you don't have to think much, which is actually pretty much a benefit when you're looking for that type of movie. You want to feel patriotic and you want to see great war machines fly through the air, and Tom Cruise, well, being Tom Cruise, well, then you're going to have a good time at the movies if you check out Maverick. Go see it. Number 8. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, a lot of people have been taking a big dookie on Marvel Productions lately. I have been taking a lot of dookies on Marvel lately. I do think that this is a quality film. This was a good time. We actually get to see Doctor Strange, now that he's done with his origin, and he doesn't have to have all these cameos and hanging out with the Avengers, as in a la Infinity War and Endgame. We can just see him be a super heroic magic user, and that's what it is. It starts off where he leaves the wedding and he puts on his cape and he goes and he stops the monster, and he gets into an interdimensional shenanigans. Now, some people will say there wasn't enough interdimensional shenanigans, and I think that's their problem. The truth is that I think people have too great in expectations for Easter eggs and guest appearances in these Marvel movies, and I'm actually for the lesser amount of it. I feel the less of that, and just save that for Avengers movies. I'd rather a Doctor Strange or a Daredevil or an X-Men or whatever just be those characters, and that's what Doctor Strange got to do. I really enjoyed this film, and I have to say, any movie where the finale involves a sorcerer possessing his own corpse, becoming a zombie man, fighting demonic shadows and turning them into a cape, and then this same zombie giving a pep talk to a teenage mutant so that she can use her powers to stop an evil witch, is a good movie. Number 7, Pearl. I struggled with what is better. Is Pearl the better film, or is X the better film? It's very rare that a sequel comes out in the same year. Apparently X was pushed back because of COVID, and they just ended up falling on the same year in actual release date, which was great because I think both movies were successful, both critically and commercially. But I gotta say, Pearl is the more original film. Now, Pearl goes into something that I think we can all associate with, and that is the story of someone who's just had it with life, and they eventually snap and go on a killing spree. Now, I'm not advocating that in any way, but it's fun to watch it happen on the screen, and it was cute to watch Mia Goth play this Pearl character. We know what her fate will be, probably like 70, 80 years later, and it's just interesting that they have this World War I setting and the farm and all these things, it all comes together magically. I hope I'm not spoiling too much of you. Really, it's clear that it's about a woman who just loses her mind. However, it's the execution that is so much fun to watch. Please check it out.
Number 6.
Decision to Leave. This Park Chan-wook movie is part drama, part comedy, believe it or not. Although there's comedic parts, they don't really acknowledge the comedy. It's just sort of silly yet deep. It explores relationships, a murder mystery. It has such stories such as fentanyl addiction and all sorts of other issues that have to do, and it's all about whether you should leave your wife or relationship and what is a good reason to leave one. It's a wonderful exploration of love. As soon as you think you know what is going to happen, it's not too twisty, but there are twists and turns, and like a lot of his movies, they're not your typical fare. It was beautiful. South Korea is bringing it in general. They did it again this year. Quite frankly, if you haven't watched Decision to Leave, you need to check this bad boy out.
Number 5.
Emily the Criminal. For anyone who's ever worked in food service or retail, for anyone who's ever had the inkling deep in their soul that they want to punch out their boss or walk out of work, or knows what it's like to get paid and then have a balance of only $3 or worse, negative money the next day, then this movie is for you. It's about a woman who's fed up with that, and she decides to go a different route. Now, it's starring Audrey Plaza. Now, a lot of people on this channel seem to think that I hate Audrey Plaza. That's not true. I love Audrey Plaza. I think she's going to be superstar eventually. She's on her road because she's doing great movies. It's just that I'm very critical of The White Lotus, and I think everybody thought that that series deserved to pass because she was in it, and she was great in it. However, I love her more in Emily the Criminal, and I think you're going to love her as well.
Number 4.
The Menu. So what can be said about The Menu? This is a movie that I saw later in my binge of award-worthy films, and I knew it was a thriller/horror piece, and I had just recently watched the show The Bear, so I was expecting a story about chefs and kitchen work and the French Brigade, and that's not at all what I got at all. This movie stars the indelible Anya Taylor-Joy, who is just a delight to see. She plays a strong woman. It doesn't give into any of the tropes that mainstream things like Disney and Marvel do to ruin strong women. She has to survive this horrible situation when a group of filthy rich people are invited to a restaurant to see the world's greatest chef put on a meal for them, but also it's like living art amongst them. It's fascinating, it's beautiful, and as soon as you get comfortable, this movie constantly keeps adding things that are either visual or story-wise interesting to keep you invested. I really love this movie. Please check her out.
Number 3.
The Triangle of Sadness. When I was about 2/3 through this movie, I was like, what am I watching? And then somehow at the end, it all comes together. Now, you have to get warned, and I think you might start enjoying it quicker, because there's no main character. It's actually 3 short stories involving a cruise ship disaster. And the first story starts out a couple, and it's a male model and a female model, and their difficulties navigating their fame and their relationship. And then the middle story is about a drunk sea captain who's secretly a communist. And then the third one is about people deserted on an island after a ship crash. And it takes on different forms. The characters know each other peripherally, and somehow it all comes together in a moral and a story that is so funny and just so bizarre. Now, I'm not sure what I learned, and I'm not actually sure what I watched. I know that I enjoyed it, and it had that effect on you where it haunts you. It's a movie that haunts you, and you think about the things the character said, and you think about it, and it lingers with you forever, man. Good stuff.
Number 2.
The Northman. Now, this was a movie that came out earlier this year. I actually saw it for my birthday. I'm a Taurus, so you can guess what time of year that was, and it has not lowered a rank at all throughout the year. I love it. Now, this is the ancient telling of the story that Hamlet from William Shakespeare was based off of. Instead of having to do with 17th century politics in Europe, it's actually in early medieval period, where we get to see what Vikings and berserkers are. It's a primordial tale of revenge, lineage, family, love, lust, desire. When do you get revenge? When do you live your own life? What does it all mean? And not to mention, you get to see all sorts of weird Viking rituals that just like, it transcended. Sometimes the movie would sometimes dip into fantasy, and it would have the most interesting, fantastical things. And you say to yourself, did that actually happen? I love this movie. And if you're into watching bloody berserkers get revenge on their fallen family and father, you're gonna love this. Oh, and by the way, Nicole Kidman plays possibly the most evil human being I've ever seen on a film. Just to give you a warning.
And my number one film.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And it's actually interesting. Anytime I'm watching a movie like The Menu or Triangle Sadness, and it evokes some sort of lesson or moral or feeling in my heart, I always say, well, this is doing this great. And then I think for a second, wait a minute. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once literally lives up to its name because it evokes all the emotions of everything I have on my list just in one movie. Now, it couldn't focus on the topics, but trust me, it has super heroic battles like Black Adam, but it also has deep thought about depression and existential crisis like Triangle of Sadness. It certainly has revenge and questions about where you should exist in this world, such as Emily the Criminal or The Menu. The list goes on. And of course, it has alternate dimensions, which is pretty cool. I absolutely adore this movie. I believe it should win all the awards. It's probably not because it's probably too smart for the Academy. It's definitely too smart for the Golden Globes. That's for sure. And Michelle Yeoh, man, it's great that she's finally being recognized as a movie star. You know what I mean? Before she was just some martial arts chick doing her thing. Now she's a martial arts chick winning Best Actress. I absolutely adore this thing. I absolutely loved it, but the real question is, what is your top 10 of 2022? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. I've got more lists coming, but until next time, ciao for now.